What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. This is a message to all the Pan-Africans, all the disgruntled African Americans, Afro Caribbeans, and African Latinos that are very much worried about whether we're going to be able to unify, whether Africa is going to really be able to rise, whether we're ever going to get to that point where we're giving the respect that we all know that we all deserve. And I'm here to tell you that that day is coming, and it's coming soon rather than later. As if you've been paying attention to all the heat we've been getting, right? If you paid attention to all the division that's been purposely spread by all of our collective enemies, if you pay attention to even inside your own ethnic, racial, and religious groups, how the division is starting to manifest itself out of nowhere, seemingly out of nowhere, right? With all this fury and frustration, that tells you that we are winning. You see, Pan-Africanism is a threat to Western society. Why? Because black people globally, we have everything that we need to dominate, completely and totally without question. And the only thing that it takes for us to dominate completely and totally without question is for us to mentally wake up to that actual fact. You see, they bonded us, right? They chained us up because they saw that we had value. But we took for granted our value. We let the divisions between us as different ethnic groups of Africans, we allowed ourselves to be divided even further because we have our own independent in-house issues with each other, right? Which in reality will always persist. As humanity itself, will always find a way to fight each other. We as black people will always find a way to fight each other. We will always have conflict. There's never going to be a world in which we don't have conflict. And even me saying that, that's possibly not true, right? We don't know how much more advanced we're going to get. Maybe it'll take an alien invasion for all of us to figure out, well, damn, maybe we need to all stick together. We're all humans at the end of the day, right? But African people, the humans, the original man, right? We have united when it counts. We united to build all the great structures of Africa. We united to develop all the scientists, all the processes that make the world a better place and more advanced. We've done all that. But you see, the enemy has been taken from us because they don't have the capabilities that we have, right? But they do have capabilities. They are capable of tricking us. They are capable of using our weakness, which is empathy. Our weakness is complacency. Our weakness is that we sometimes believe that everybody in the world is as human as we are, is as advanced culturally as we are, right? Even though we are the gods of war, we have the superior body frames for this planet. We are the original prototype created by God, and everybody else are carbon copies of us. God created us. We created everybody else, right? Now, with that inherent jealousy that permeates throughout the world, we, because of our talents, because of our abilities, because of the land we come from, has more than anybody else. The rest of the world is jealous and they want what we have. We can't help that. And some groups of human beings got to jump on us. And because of our naivety and us thinking that they're human, they're thinking that they're like us, we let ourselves get captured and caught up and let ourselves get de-educated, all right, to believe that we ain't nothing. That's why we have African Americans that are miseducated on Africa. That's why they're ashamed to be African. We have continental Africans that are miseducated on those Africans taken into the transatlantic slave trade, and they look down upon those African Americans or those African Caribbeans. We are divided in our minds because we have been educated by our enemy, right? But things are moving fast. In the age of information, we are now connecting the dots. We are now unifying. It's like a knot that we're untying. It's bind it very tight, and it takes a while to pluck out the strings to find the origins of things. Sometimes other knots get tied with the thing in that knot, and we get frustrated. But we can't give up. Because once we untie that knot, we'll see how long that string goes. You understand? And we're seeing it now. Now, yes, we're fighting. There are people fighting. We have to fight the Cunarians within our communities who are willfully ignorant, who rather be complacent, and they love being with Master. They love what Master built off the backs of our ancestors. They're comfortable where they are and they don't want change. Or they're afraid to change because what they see that looks like them doesn't act like them. It's scary. Right? That's just the human condition. To be afraid of things that you don't know about. To be afraid of things that contradict your original beliefs. And those are the things we're fighting. Remember, the war is happening in our heads right now. We've already freed ourselves from the shackles of physical change. physical chains, right? We are freeing ourselves economically and socially through all the different nations that we reside in. And no matter what has been done to us, we've always come out on top at the end. Think about it. Think about where we come from and compare that where everybody else come from, right? They came and they stole us, took us away. And for those that weren't taken away, on our own land, they enslaved us. Because colonization is enslavement. You got to understand. It's the same thing. The only difference is they enslaved Africans in Africa. And they enslaved other Africans in other lands. That's the only real difference at the end of the day. Now, because we are so strong, unlike various places around the world and various different races, the European was not able to fully defeat us. They were able to slow us down. They were able to steal all of our stuff. They were able to kill us to the point where we lost those griots that used to pass along that ancient knowledge that empowered us. But still, we held on to it. Still, we had grandmamas and grandfathers that remember the old ways and they passed that along. And we used those old ways to liberate ourselves. From the Haitian revolutions to all the revolutions in America, to all the revolutions you don't know about, to all the revolutions in Africa. We use African spirituality, we use African culture and an African mindset to free ourselves from that white Western demon that we are currently still fighting to this day. But we're winning that battle. They used AIDS to try to kill us biologically. They used wars and bullets to try to kill us kinetically. But it just didn't work. It worked for other places. Other people didn't come out at the end of this so well. Like the Native Americans, they didn't come out of this so well. They're at a certain level to where their population is not big enough to take back the land that truly belongs to them. The Tasmanians didn't make it so well. They've been completely and totally extinct. The Australians are hanging on to a thread. The real Australians, those black ones that left Africa 70,000 years ago. Hanging on by a thread in Australia, trying to fight against that white savage barbarian that dares to call themselves Native Australians. All these Europeans in their European colonies are falling. You know why? Because their system of government, their culture is not conducive for longevity. That's why they're going extinct. Nature is correcting itself. Nature is making it so that black African, right, is still permeating on this planet with abundance. Not only do we have abundant resources, but we are abundant in people. We still make babies and have large families. And through strife, through pain, through suffering, through colonization, we still make babies and we still populate. We still enjoy, we still dance, and we still practice our culture. That infuriates our enemy. As they have lost their culture. As they have lost their way. Because they once had a way, but they lost it. Because greed supersedes true culture that they once had, but they don't have it anymore. Because they decided to make a secular culture, a culture of evil, a culture of parasiticness. Right? And parasites all die. When the host realizes that parasite is there. Or when the antidote comes. And we've always had the antidote. And that antidote is unity. As you can see, African Americans, those who know who they are, who are proud, are now reconnecting with their brothers and sisters on the continent. Our Caribbean brothers and sisters and the African Americans, we've been united for a very long time. Despite the rhetoric that you see on TV, Caribbeans and African Americans have been united for a very long time. As a matter of fact, we've always been united. It's only been those uneducated few that like to sow division between us. As Caribbeans and African Americans are the same. We come from those Caribbean islands. And I'm so happy that the Africans who were enslaved on those Caribbean islands were able to create a condition to where they now own those islands. Like Monopoly, we've got more places on the board now. Now, all we have to do is develop those places. We have to tackle the other enemy, which is not just the white man, but the rich white man who owns the institutions that we are forced to work for or forced to purchase things from. That's one of the missions that we're on now. As we create institutions of our own. Africa's currently doing that. African Americans are doing it. Caribbeans are doing it. And everybody's at different levels of development when it comes to that. We all don't have to come up at the same time, but we got to help each other come up that ladder together. And it's happening. And because it's happening, because the fact that we may not be as educated on each other as we are, but that white man who stole us is very much educated on us. And they can see what's happening. They can see the unification happen. They can see how the politicians in Africa are starting to stand up and fight back for their people. They can see it, despite the corruption that happens in Africa, despite the puppets that those Europeans place in Africa. Even some of those puppets have decided to cut the strings that used to control them. Slowly but surely, nothing happens overnight. These are generational wars. We are poised to win the war. Even Mother Nature is on our side. Mother Nature is making it so even that European barbarian doesn't even have the ability to pro-reproduce, even if they wanted to. They're not even producing enough sperm to replace themselves. Their countries don't have enough Europeans to replace themselves, right? This is nature working with us because we're one with nature. We are true spirits of this earth, and Mother Gaia is on our side. So that's why you see the European deploying all of their agents. That's why you see Europeans highlighting and using algorithms to push false narratives. That's why you see our enemy in fright. They're in fight or flight mode, and they can't fly anywhere. They have to fight. And what you got to understand about our enemy is our enemy has a scorched earth policy, meaning if they can't have it, you can't have it, even if it belongs to you. And we must always remember that they're not going to leave without biting you. And you got to understand sometimes you're going to get bit. At the end of the day, you're going to get bit. And we have to know that that white man will bite us before they take their last breath. All right? But understand, we are in fact winning. Look how fast we've progressed within one lifetime. How many lifetimes were we enslaved? How many lifetimes were our African brothers and sisters on the continent colonized? How many generations knew nothing but didn't know freedom? How many generations in Africa didn't know freedom on their own land? How many generations of African Americans didn't even know where their land was? Now look at this now. In droves going to Africa, whether it be vacation, whether it's to build, whether it's to marry. Do you know in America, Africans and Caribbeans, Africans and African Americans, Caribbeans and African Americans, we're all marrying each other. We're adding the diversity to our gene pool, so we're not as inbred as these Europeans, because there's not enough Europeans to go around, and therein lies some of their problems. But us, there's plenty of us. There's plenty of us to go around. As a matter of fact, there's so many of us to go around, these white Western nations are going to be forced to import us to their nations to replace their original inhabitants of their nations. We're going to take over this entire world. All of it going to belong to us. Just give us about 200 years. Don't worry, you won't see the end result, but you're going to be able to enjoy the journey. You should be enjoying the journey right now. You should be laughing at the fact that your enemy is up in arms. You should be laughing at him. Because all of the people they subject around the world are fighting back. All of them. And everybody's going to take their rightful place where they belong in humanity. And that European barbarian one day will be in a book. We'll be reading about this in a book. Your children's will be reading about this in a book. This will be a whole college course about this group of people that used to exist. Right? These people who were savage barbarian Neanderthals that had the last gasp before they went extinct. So we thought Neanderthals went extinct. They didn't. Their hybrids lived on. And they're displaying Neanderthal-like behavior. That's why they only had a limited time on this earth, just like their Neanderthal forefathers. But as humans, when we encountered Neanderthal, we ultimately won. Why? Because we're superior. That lies the fact. Our empathy allowed us to be tricked. But we are, in fact, superior. And as we recognize that, as we stand up and realize that we are capable of doing anything that European has ever done, and then some, when we realize that the things that we thought that those Europeans did, it was really your great-grandmama and your great-grandfather who actually did it, when you realize that most of the greatest things that advanced human history, human society, that advanced human technology, that brought us into what we call the 21st century, was done by your ancestors under shackles, with no resources. Imagine what we could do when we can take full advantage of our resources. Imagine what we can do with our young black brains when they're able to relax in an environment to where they don't have to deal with institutionalized racism, but they can deal with an institution that advances their ability to invent things, to create systems that work better for humankind. Imagine having the ability to have a generation of black people that can go to school freely and not worry about being discriminated against, and they can go ahead and use their full brains into their creativity. We had that before. How do you think all those great structures were built? You ever wonder why Europeans don't have any great structures? Because all they did was fight each other. All they do is kill. Their answer to everything is murder, death, kill. You see, Africans created such societies that we had the ability to have men to grow up, even though they were warrior class age men. They didn't have to go to war. Great time periods of complete and total peace where different nations with different languages came together to build great structures. Don't think Egypt was the end. Egypt is just a small Costco sample of what really happened in Africa. And that's why we need more archaeologists, more historians, more people to dig in that African dirt to tell the truth about our history, to tell the truth about the advanced civilization that existed before this modern era. You see, the trick is these white people like to say that the modern era, the modern era, right, is a new thing, and that there used to be an old thing, an old civilization that disappeared. That old thing was Africans. It wasn't aliens, not some lizard race. No. Wasn't no Anunnaki. Wasn't no mysterious thing. It was us. We had an advanced civilization that spanned the entire continent and off the continent. But those Europeans and their savage, destructive, barbarian culture destroyed it all. The same way they destroyed all of Rome. The same way they destroyed all of Greece. That's what they do. They destroyed that history and they hid it and stole it and they copied it and they pasted their names on it and said it was them. But in fact, it was us. But just like our ancestors of old, every time we get beat up, we get back up. We fight again, we win, we dominate, and we advance again. And that's what we're going to do. And that's what's happening now. But this time we're at endgame. We are at endgame. So the next time we rise, we'll never fall again. I promise you. There'll be no one to challenge us. Because like I said, we got the numbers, we got the resources, we got the unity, we got the education and understanding, we got the culture. And that's just the facts. So don't worry, Pan-Africanism is working. Global black unity is working. And the proof of the pudding is when you look all of our enemies that we have all of a sudden coming out, doing everything they can. They're desperate to slow down the thing that they can't slow down. But resistance is futile. There's nothing you can do about it. Anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn some, teach some. I'm out.
Hey, 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 hey. Hold on. Everybody. Guys. Hey, hey. I like that shoot. Hey, 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 hey. Guys. Hey, that shit make me want to That's the new shit. It's original. We ain't throwback. Oh my God. We respect TTB. We love you. It's up, Blue. Yeah. I know you bouncing in this. I know you bouncing to 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 this. Part two! Oh God, move your body back! Nobody good! Nobody good! Nobody good! Nobody good! Nobody good! Nobody good! Let's bounce, 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 bounce!
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.